y'all, welcome to another episode of Tomboy Talks. I'm Kay Short, your host, and also the creator of Tomboy International. Today I got the chance to talk to Nikki, and let me just tell you all are going to be so mind blown by this person just because they're doing such amazing work in our community and the things that they're pursuing. And to be honest with all of you, it's someone that I was really excited to talk to because it's someone that I've been looking for in the community, in media, in representation. I felt like for a long time, if we look into the creative spaces, I never felt like I saw people that looked like myself that were doing the things that I wanted to do. And I can tell you today that Nikki is that person for us. And so I know that Nikki is on their way with the androgynous model and being able to build folks in the community that are doing awesome, amazing things and getting them started to continue to do those things. So get to know Nikki. Nikki's over in North Carolina right now and used to play ball, but ended up shifting themselves after doing some work in corporate America and realized that they are so much more than that. And so with that said, I'm just telling you, this is not an interview and not an episode that you want to skip on whatsoever. So I hope you all enjoy the episode. So speaking of holding meetings on this space, how has been the professional world for you in terms of your businesses, your career, and just with everything that's going on with quarantine? Has it changed a lot for you? Has it been changing for the better or for the worse?
I think it's had its advantages and disadvantages. I would first say the disadvantage is in your mind, you're thinking one way to do certain things. And you're like, wait a minute now. You done messed up my whole flow. I'm used to doing it this way. So it forces you to kind of adjust. But what I've learned through this process, Kay, is that everything can actually become virtual, right? Everything can become virtual and there's another way of doing it. As far as in terms of business with me, it's helped me be able to shift how I speak to people or perform or coach people one-on-one virtually. And when you're virtually talking to someone, it doesn't seem as hard to open up because it's we see you, I see you, but I'm not physically in front of you. So it's I found that it's just this more calming, trusting type vibe to get the individual to trust me with where they are and to help them through whatever they're going through. Ideally, I wouldn't have thought that would be, but it's been pretty good. It really is as far as helping people one-on-one. So having those sessions just kind of allows us to interact no matter where we're at, as opposed to we got to meet at one particular place. So now if you're visiting your family, I'm visiting my family or whatever, we can just jump on the internet and see each other and talk at the same time. So I think for me, that's been an advantage. But because I am that person that wants to connect with people and be in the same room, the same energy, I want to feel all of that. I think that took away from it, but it forced me to think differently and to be more creative and see that there are other ways to do it. So advantages and disadvantages, but ultimately it's just another way for me to grow and evolve and to create another lane for a business opportunity that I didn't think that could be possible because I only thought you could do it face to face,
Yeah, and I think I got a degree in communication studies on accident, but I really enjoyed the degree. And I feel like nonverbal communication, being able to be in the same room with somebody, being able to feel that energy, and obviously for you also being in performance and being an artist, having to exude that through a webcam, do you find that it's is it the same? Do you feel do you prefer virtual or do you prefer online or in person?
I prefer in person because I'm an empath and I can feel people's energy. So that breeds the performance, but then I think about before I ever got into in front of people, I was doing it online. I was doing it with my phone and Facebook and recording myself. So it's I have to go back to that thought, to that experience, but hands down, I love to perform in front of people in person because it's just a different vibration. I think it takes away of the feeling. People still love it when I do it virtually, but it just takes away from the in-person aspect of oh my gosh, I felt that a little bit more deeper, but I'll choose in person over anything. I will. As far as performing mogul moments, absolutely.
I'm curious, with your background, being on stage and stuff like that, is there one that sticks out to you that you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing at least once a week or something? Because you do a lot of things, and we'll get into that. But like, is there just a specific moment in your mind that you're like, damn, like this is what life is about?
Yeah, as a few actually. It's I think about this moment when you know how like people see you do what you do and they're like, "Oh my God, that's great." I wonder if it's rehearsed. I wonder if it's something that has been practiced. I wonder if this person can do it again. I wonder, it's kind of like that doubt. They're like, "Oh yeah, you had luck. You did it once or twice." It makes me think of, there was a time that I was like, "You know what? I think I really need to show the people who are watching that this is a God-given talent." So I asked the audience, I said, "Give me a sentence that's on your mind, and I'm going to take it and just turn it into something." And so, of course, people were very reluctant about it. And in my head, when I thought about it earlier that day, I was like, wait a minute, somebody might give me a sentence that's like out of this world. Somebody might give me a sentence and it might be like crazy. And I'm like, but I just kind of had that moment like, God, you got me here for a reason. It's going to work out, right? So this lady stands up in the back, and mind you, Kay, I met that lady at the beginning of the event, and she was very like, it was just a very odd vibe with her, just kind of really like, just complaining about everything, it seemed like. So when it got time for me to perform and I asked somebody to give me a sentence, she was the lady that gave me the sentence. And I was like, oh no, this is about to be crazy. So what's funny is she got up and the sentence was, "When I woke up this morning," right? And honestly, if you could have been in my shoes, if anybody could have been in my shoes at that moment to feel the energy and the vibration I felt when I heard the sentence, I knew that what was getting ready to come out of me was going to be like an amazing, amazing feeling. And so I was like, okay, when I woke up this morning, and I just went in about it, and I ended it with, and everything I just said was what I thought about when I woke up this morning. And it was just standing ovation because people were like in awe. They couldn't believe that I could just take the sentence and turn it into some type of inspiration or motivation right on the spot. And honestly, that was one of my pivotal moments to be like, what I thought that was kind of weird that I would do in my own home, like just talking out loud to get through my feelings or like a therapeutic type thing. That was one of those moments that I was like, I'm destined to do this. This is God-given talent, you know what I mean? And I'm ready to step into it. And I could do this for the rest of my life, whether it's something somebody gives me or it's something that I'm just feeling in the moment to go with it. So that's one moment that I can think about it. And that same lady, after it was over, she was like, I just don't even know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. Like, wow. And I'm like, yeah. I said, I do the same thing, because when I see myself do it, Kay, like if I go back and look at the video, I look like a totally different person. And that's how I know that it really isn't me. I'm just being used in the moment as a vessel. And that just lets me know, like, this is part of a gift. This is part of my purpose. This is part of what I'm supposed to do. And I just know it. When I get up there, I come alive. That's just a part of me that just comes alive. And I walk away like, yeah, that was what I'm supposed to do. That's what I was supposed to do. Yep.
Let's talk about everything that you do at this point in time. And I want to know if that moment in time, that moment in time that you had the standing ovation, is that what you would rather be doing all the time, or do you like being able to do all the things that you're currently involved with?
Right. So one, I'm an inspirational performance artist, which is what I was just telling you about. Two, I'm a motivational speaker, so I can come into a space and they have a particular topic, whether it's motivation, team building, positive self-talk, whatever, and I could come in and do speaking on that. Three, I'm the creator of the Androgynous model, which is a brand that encourages others to be brave in their journey of accepting their true self. It kind of originated from a show that I started on YouTube, and now it's become a really great I would say, resource to identify those individuals who are looking for opportunities that are androgynous. I'm the creator of Mogul Moments, which I call those inspirational performances a mogul moment because it's just a moment of an important person sharing an important piece of information for a short period of time. I am a coach, so I do one-on-one coaching sessions with entrepreneurs, people who are already business owners, or people who are kind of in that state of like, should I get into entrepreneurship or just need some type of personal development. So that is my mindset to Muse coaching. I'm also a design lead for Sharp Suiting, which is one of my favorite brands, and I'm sure you're familiar with them out there. I'm the design lead here in North Carolina for them. I've been doing that for 2 years, and a lot of great things is happening with that. I actually am just also one of those people that has turned into the sounding board for other people when they have business ideas. And I know that's part of the coaching aspect, but I think what's funny is when I decided to run into corporate, get away from corporate America in 2013, I think people see like, oh my God, that was courageous for this person to do. If anything, she knows information about how to thrive in it or how to adjust from the normal into the not so normal. So I've become that sounding board as well. I'm also a model. I model men's clothes. You know, I'm an influencer on social media. I'm a video content creator. I'm a logo animator. I got so many facets when it comes to branding and marketing and personal development and entrepreneurship that I just am a jack of all trades. That's the reason why I call myself a mogul, which means a miracle of greatness under love. So, you know, of course the obvious, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a, you know, but I think that's all. I think.
You think that's it? You sure? Because I counted 10. Sure. Are you sure? I don't have any more fingers because I think, you just want to make sure.
I think so, friend.
That's a lot of hats, my friend. That's a lot of hats. Yeah. So now I have to know. Let's reverse it 30 plus years ago, and remember these moments of when you started realizing like, oh, there's something here that I don't want to be just what everyone has been. You know what I mean? Like let's go through your childhood and just like when you started picking these passion points and these passion moments where you're like, I'm into this, I'm into that. Did someone guide you? Were you up there singing at the church choir? You're like, oh, I really like this. And they kept putting me back up there, you know? So what were these pivotal moments in your life where like, oh, like I feel fully Nikki?
Yeah. Well, see, you know, what's funny is if you go back 30 years ago, I mean, I'm 36 now, so that would make me 6 years old. When I was 6, the only thing that I thought about at that time was playing basketball, you know? So what's funny is everything I named to you then, just now, it was not a thought of at all. It was no thought of it at all. I think that I kind of always had that boss mentality, but like me performing and coaching people and going through all of that, like I never thought about that. I think the only thing I was worried about or wanted to pursue at that time was playing basketball. But what's funny is I wanted to play, one, because my brother played all the time, but more importantly, I wanted to play because I was a girl and I wanted to do it better than how boys did it. So it was already a level of competition already with, if I commit myself to do something and I'm a girl doing it and there's other guys doing the same thing, I'm going to do it better. So I think that kind of started the whole trend of being okay with being or liking boyish things, which is how the name Tomboy comes about, you know. So I don't think that I had that pivotal moment until I got to college and after college, when I decided that I didn't want to play basketball anymore. When I realized there was more things that I could offer the world outside of basketball. You know, I think I played the sport a lot because I enjoyed it. It was also an outlet for me, but I think it was also because people love seeing me do it, that it just became the thing like, oh, I'm gonna be a basketball player. But then once a lot of things happen to where I'm like, oh my God, like I feel like I cannot, I endure so much pain with playing the sport. I think when that happened, it made me be like, I know I can do other things, you know, and I wanted to be known for other things. When you playing sports and you go to big schools, to me, what my experience is, I felt like they only limited me to that one thing. Like, you were only here because you know how to put the ball in the hoop very well. You know how to pass the ball. You know how to shoot. And it made me feel less than to say, that's all you think I'm good at? Like, what if I get hurt? Then I'm no longer of service. Like, I don't understand. So I think it was around when I was able to make the decision that I didn't want to play ball anymore, is when it pivoted to me to say, I want to be a boss. I want to own my own thing. I don't know what it's going to be, but I want to be a boss. And I think stepping into that and also starting to model men's clothes, because no one was doing that, changed my whole vibration of what I could do in this world. And I think that made me realize, like, maybe I'm supposed to influence more people outside of basketball. And maybe that platform wasn't big enough for me. So maybe God was like, these are the other things you got. Oh, you remember when you used to like just flow on a beat for back in the day? I'm going to allow you to do that, but I'm going to put some inspiration and motivation in you to where it changes the whole game. So I think the more I got out of school, that was more pivotal moments for me, that I was able to see that I was able to do more things than just playing basketball.
Speaking of being a tomboy and them labeling us that very quickly, growing up, was that hard for you, or was it easy because you had this brother that was competitive, so y'all was just competitive and your family was like, just do your thing? Like, how was it growing up as a tomboy for you?
It was definitely not easy, because I used to always get the question, are you a boy or a girl? I used to hate that question for some reason. And I wasn't in my mind like, am I a boy or am I a girl? I was never going through that. I knew that I was a girl. I just knew that I like boyish things. But little kids was cruel. They just was. They was on that like, right. You know, I'm like, looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't believe they said that to me sometimes. But so yeah, being bullied, you know, are you a boy? Are you a girl? Do you like pee standing up? Like stuff like that, that I'm just like, excuse me? But back then, you're like, should I be doing that? Or am I a boy? Like, am I wrong on what's been said, you know, to me? So I think I struggled, you know, with that. I dressed, of course, in boyish clothes, and my mom would always, you know, braid my hair like in two like braids. And so in my mind, I didn't understand, like, hey, why are you dressing me in these clothes? And I'm going to school and people are like, I don't know if you're a boy or a girl. But I think I just didn't have the courage to even say that this was happening, because I don't know. I don't know if I just didn't feel comfortable, or I just was like, you know, it'll be all right. But it wasn't until I was around 10, maybe 10, I will never forget this, around 10 years old. And we were at a Burger King. This thought is coming back so clear now. We were at a Burger King and I went to the bathroom. And of course I went to the girls' bathroom, and it was a mother and a daughter in there. Daughter looks like she was more about my age. And I remember her saying to her mom, or asking, Mom, is that a boy or a girl? And so the mom just tried to, like, you know, quiet her down. Well, if it's a girl, then why does she look like a boy? Why is she in the girls' bathroom? And I remember leaving out of there and sitting back at the table just like, what? And I think that's the first time that I said something to my mom. I think that's the first time that I was like, Mom, that girl just asked me if I was a boy or a girl. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah. She was like, well, don't worry about it. You know that you're a girl. And I'm like, okay. But it sat with me for a second. Like, it really did. So I think I just had those things of not feeling like girly enough, or not being accepted in school among the girls because I dressed more masculine or more tomboyish, but being accepted on the guys' side because I played basketball. But they wasn't, of course, looking at me to be more than just like a friend, you know? So I think that I've always struggled with the boy or the girl aspect. And I think I became it became part of my mission to prove to people, one, girls can do it just like guys, if not better. And two, I know that I'm a woman. I just like to embrace men's clothes or masculine things. And I think that became the goal, to get people to understand it. And that's kind of how the androgynous model came about, because I wanted people to understand those type of individuals. Like, we're not out here trying to be guys. No offense to the transgender community. Like, that's one aspect. But there are people who are okay with their gender. They just express themselves in the opposite gender a little bit more. So I guess it's still kind of fused and worked together in some form or fashion.
When did you learn about the word androgynous? Again, a very big word for someone in a spelling bee. I'm like, where are these words coming from? When did you learn about the term androgyny, and when did you decide, like, I think this is how I feel most comfortable in describing myself?
Yeah, I think I learned about it around the time when I started modeling men's clothes. So probably around 2011, 2012, maybe.
Wait a second. We got to reverse real quick to 2009. Wait, 2009, 2010. Like, were you sitting there playing ball? You're like, you know what? I think I just want to go model real quick. When did you get the confidence to do that? Like, I'm going to go try this. Especially during that time, we think looking back, we're like, oh, it's progressive. But, like, it's not as progressive as it is now.
Right. You know what? You know what's funny? Honestly, around 2009, 2010, a couple years prior to that, I worked for Verizon, right? There was one of my colleagues or employees that worked there. She was a photographer, and she was like, you should she was like, you should let me photograph you. And I'm like, no, like, what? Because in my mind, I like to take photographs, but I don't know. It was just something that I was like, nah, I don't know who you are. You're not just going to take photographs of me. There was this whole, like, bad feeling of people taking your photographs and doing all of this other stuff with it. I don't know. Something psychologically was messing with me. And, right, no. Exactly. Like, why? I don't understand. So, I think I went through a breakup, and there was a part of me that was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Why not? I mean, you done been through some crazy situations. Why not do the photo shoot to kind of get yourself back to where you want to be? And so I reached out to the girl I worked with at the time, and she was like, oh my God, yes, this is amazing. Da, da, da. And so we did the photo shoot. And honestly, at that moment, because of course I came with what I had on, how I dress in men's clothes, and she took photos of me. And at that moment, when I was in front of the camera, that's when I felt like I was at home. I felt like it was something that was a part of me. And I just accepted it from there. I think then it became that thing of, once I saw the photos and seeing myself in it and not looking around in the world and seeing people, like women embracing men's clothes, it became a drive for me to be like, okay, I'm finna go to these different agencies, because I done modeled, I done took one photo shoot, I'm ready. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm finna take my, portfolio to all these different talent agencies. And I think that's what made me get into it. When I would go to these agencies and they wouldn't give me the same opportunity, or they give me this like crazy story of why they can't accept me, so you're a woman. Do you wear women's clothes too? And I'm like, nah. Right. I showed up in what I wear. Like, I don't understand. And I think just getting the no's each time made me be like, why is this not okay? Like, I'm more than the clothes. This is just the clothes that I wear. You know what I'm saying? Different models have to wear different things. And I think that just, it pushed me even more to be like, yo, I got to get out here and keep doing this. I got to show a different aspect, because people don't know, So around that time, that's when I think it was around, I met someone, I was about to be a part of a fashion show called What is Butch. And I think around that time, that's when the word androgynous was introduced to me. And it was like, you're androgynous. And it's like an androgynous type style. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I don't understand. And I went to research it. And once I researched it, I just felt like, I felt like I found my identity. I found like, oh my God, I'm not just in my mind about it. It's just not this thing that I just do myself. There's other people out here. And then I started doing more research, and it was like the Prince, Grace Jones, David Bowie, all of these people who were before me that I felt like I identified with, Ellen DeGeneres, people that I identified with, that I'm like, whoa, you mean to tell me this has been here for a while? You mean to tell me, women was dressing in men's clothes and men was dressing in feminine clothes and all of this stuff? It just made me be like, okay, all right, I'm cool with that, right? And I think that's what really sparked wanting to know more about androgyny. And I just started identifying myself as an androgynous woman that modeled men's clothes. And that's kind of how I found out about the word androgynous. And from that point on, I just kind of ran with it, because I think it's a great professional, intriguing way to describe someone, to where when people hear the word, they like, well, I think I've heard it. I don't know, but I want to know more about it. It's very intriguing. Like, who are you? What are you? I'm androgynous. What? Yeah. I want to know what that is, so, and then when they find out what it is or the representations of it, they're like, oh, okay, I get it now, so that's kind of how I kind of started to identify with it.
Yeah, I know we had the chance to talk about how you were moving forward in this direction during a time where maybe the industry wasn't ready, mm-hmm. And now that you're 7 years in, right, about where you're like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that breath, that sigh for it? How's the journey been thus far? What's been?
I think the sigh of whew is me thinking about when I started it in 2013. Just the response of it then, the response of what, or how can you say that these people are models, or people are not going to get it, or you trying to take tomboys and making them feminine. You're trying to take masculine individuals and put makeup on them and making them more feminine when they don't want to be. And it was just that thing of the lack of knowledge that people had at the time. And it was disheartening, because it's like, I'm not out here trying to make somebody that they're not. I'm allowing them to be themselves, but also educating other people with who they are and why they do what they do, So I think the long breath is just like, now that I look around in the universe and the world, I'm like, oh, now it's all right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, oh now y'all get it? I was trying to tell you
right.
years ago.
Has anybody touched base from you? Like, from your past also, out of curiosity. Yeah. Has anyone from your past that reached out to you like, Nikki, I would have never guessed that you're doing all... You know how some people just kind of show up when you're doing well? But I also want to know if anyone has shown up in your professional past that told you no at first and then came back around like, damn, you was right.
Yeah, you know what? I think the most that I've kind of encountered was people who had a lot to say about it then, or didn't identify as androgynous, or, oh my God, it's not going to work out, or nobody's going to tune into that, or you need to choose if you're going to be more masculine or if you're going to be more feminine. I think to interact with some people and what they said then and fast forward later, it's like, yeah, those same people are like, yeah, I'm androgynous. And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. So I think just on a level I've seen that. Any other thing has been like, when people like see magazine covers where it's like masculine and feminine, or they see the word androgyny, or somebody says something about androgynous, or they just see those different types looks and they see how people talk about it more, I'll get people reach out to me and be like, oh my God, I just saw this on TV. I remember when you did this, like you were so ahead of time. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know, finally. You know, so I get more of that than anything when people, like when what was it? I think it was Louis Vuitton or Gucci, one at Saint Laurent, might have been Saint Laurent, when they was doing they had like men, Jaden Smith, he was like in a skirt or something, and they did like this fashion show. And so people would reach out to me and be like, have you seen this? You know, like, oh my God, you said that companies were going to get ready to switch up stuff and they're looking for different things. And it's important to have it available for both genders to be able to dress whatever way they want to dress on both sides, because it's out here and it feels better when people can look at brands and companies and clothing designers and be like, oh my God, yeah, that's just not made for a guy. It's just not made for a woman. If I like it, I want to put it on. So I think that's the biggest thing that I get when people see things now. They want to reach out and be like, man, you were already ahead of time. Just keep going. I see what you mean. I'm seeing the word a lot more. But to add again to why I blow out that win is because, you know, when you out there and you think of something in your mind, you like, it makes sense to me. This makes sense. Why don't people get it? You know? But years went on and I had to realize, like, Nikki, you were so ahead of time that people hadn't caught up yet. And that was okay, you know? This is part of what I wanted to create, you know, for you, your purpose. And it's all good. It's all about timing. And I think it humbled me after the fact to say, dang, I was a trailblazer. Dang, I was a visionary, you know, because now I see more people represent the word. More people are okay with being a female and dressing masculine, or being a male and dressing feminine, and okay to say, yeah, I'm going to go out and get this job. I see androgynous people in other places that I've never seen them before. I see them on TV. I see all of these things. So to me, when I was able to see the difference of it starting to change, I'm like, oh man, I was planting seeds at that time, and it was just a matter of time. When you think about everything is aligned and it all falls into place, I was like, maybe because I was so ahead, I was planting something for the world to start to change. And when the world does change and evolve, it's going to be like, okay, boom, now you're right here. But God was like, I got to take you through the beginning stages of what it's like to be the first, because when it is your time, you're going to have to be able to, you know, deal with everything that comes along with it. So for that, I'm grateful. But I still be like, because it's still a lot more. It's still a lot more to do. It just is.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about that, because when I think about 2013, and I just graduated college, but I ended up graduating as the first gender bending, like, homecoming royalty in the nation.
Oh, wow.
So my queen was male and I ran as king, and we just did it because that's what felt good to us. Exactly what you're saying. It's not that we're out here trying to be men or trying to, like, make this huge statement that, you know, because sometimes it gets a little political and it starts becoming like, oh, it's all for, like, just gay people and all. And I'm like, nah, fam, like, we just been out here. We exist. This is how we want to. This is how we've always been. You know, when we're not trying to be anything we're not. And that's all we're asking, is to not make us anything that we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right about that. And it trips me out because in 2013, you know, I'm originally from South Carolina. And I was, of course, living in North Carolina at that time. And, of course, that was not... It was just not the thing. So I had to always consider, you know, where I was at, where I was living at in the environment. Right. Like, more on the West Coast, things may be a little bit more accepting, but in the quote unquote Bible Belt states, as they call it, so you're dressing in what? No. So that's how you're dressing? No. You know, so there was still a level of still fighting, I would say, for that, because we're in the South and you don't really see a lot of that to say that it's okay without it being considered something as not as uplifting, I would say. You know what I mean? Like it's more, oh, if you dress that way, then you're trying to be a man, or you're cross dressing, or you're, you know, like, and I'm just like, no, I'm just wearing the clothes that make me feel comfortable.
Right.
That's it.
Right. That's it.
You know? And so, but when you think about people back in the day, even like the TLCs and the Escape, they were women, and they dressed in masculine baggy clothes, and that was okay for some reason. At what point did that change? I don't understand. It's the same thing. Like what I don't get it. At what point was it like, no, women were supposed to dress this way and men were supposed to dress this way? And I think my mission has been like, women and men can wear whatever they want to wear. I don't know how it changed to say women should do this and men should do that, but I'm trying to unchange it, because clearly, look what's going on. You should be able to do whatever you want. So I'm with you on that.
It starts from birth, right? When they put us in pink or they put us in blue. But it's like, if you go back in history, before, pink was actually for men and blue was actually for women, because pink was such a very bright color, and it's felt more dominant, you know, to stick out. And blue was more subtle. Ironically, you and I are both wearing blue, but blue was more subtle. You know what I mean? So you can kind of hide in the back and like kind of blend in. You know, but that's why it's like, people, we need to critically think, like, where are all of these traditions and social norms coming from? What do you think happened? Let me ask you that. What happened to the golden rule?
You know, I think people just get involved too much with power and feeling superior, you know, and I think that is what started to change the world, to say, oh, I'm the superior person, I'm the superior race, so you are not on my level. This should be like levels, as opposed to really realizing that we're all humans and there's only one race, and that's the human race, you know. So I think it's that level of power that people want, and people want it. And they, if I can get to this level, then if nobody doesn't have this particular status or doesn't look this way, then they're not on my level. So technically I can vibrate in this space that you're not here yet, which means I'm over you. And I think people have just took that to another level, to where they look at other people that's not like them as less than, you know. And so in terms of just, you know, our community and how we dress, we've had to compete with that. So not only, you know, and you looking at me as a woman, as a Black woman, and how I dress, and then my sexual orientation, it's like all of that on top of that, you know, makes me appear more less than in your eyes, because of the things that you feel like is not good enough, or not on the status that it needs to be to feel like I belong. And I think what that does to us as people is like, okay, maybe we start to believe it. Maybe we feel like maybe we're not on that level. So there's a part of us that makes us play small, because of how people have made us feel about things that represent who we are, because of what we've seen throughout the world, because of what's been poured into your DNA and your generation, to where you don't feel like that you're good enough. You don't feel like that you're enough. You always feel like you're less than. But I think it comes down to power and people feeling like, I want to be more superior than anyone else, because I have these things, and these are the most superior things to have in order to be in that level. But as you said, things are changing. And I think if people can realize that and really start to embrace that, changing their mindsets about who they are and whose they are, and the power that we already possess, and understanding that no one is you and that is your power. Like the differences, the things that make you, that's where your superpowers is. Once we get that and change the mind that is worthy and that is powerful, that's when things are going to shift. And I think they're already doing that, because now a lot of us are starting to realize, and I'm talking about androgynous, tomboys, Black, brown, all of that. We're starting to realize, like, wait a minute, we had this the whole time? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You just was taught not to feel like it was the thing that you needed because of how people made you feel. But I'm in that business of saying, listen, you can't do what you haven't been taught, and everything that you've been taught, you can unlearn it and relearn a new thing, relearn a different mindset, relearn a new way to view yourself. And I think if we continue to do that, or at least keep putting stuff in the universe for people to do that, it's going to change for the better. And those people who look down on us at a time because we were not like them are gonna, it's like everything's gonna switch. Now in their mind, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I don't even know. I feel like I be having those situations now. Like when I run into people who are not of color, or who are other counterparts, I would say, it's like it's like they have to be even more extra to me. Hey.
Yeah.
Good morning. How you doing? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like they have to be a little bit different towards me than what it was before. And I don't know if it's because everything, I'm sure it's because of everything that's going on. But I think also something has shifted and the veil has been taken off for our community, Black and brown, but also for their community to say, dang, we did that? Wow. That's what we was putting out there? Whoa, I'm a little scared, because now it makes me rethink what I was thinking before as far as what was right and what was wrong, you know?
And this
That's
is
my
happening
opinion
in
on
the
it.
South, huh?
Yep. But it's always been like that. So what's funny is, being on the West Coast, that's a totally different experience than how it is in the South. So it wasn't as easy for me to say, I'm a woman who embraces men's clothes. And instead of me wearing a dress to church, I want to wear a suit. Yeah, no. What?
Yeah.
No. You know, and honestly, to this day, when I was growing up, it was always dresses. I think maybe within the last 5, 6, 7 years, when I went to church, I've dressed in a more masculine outfit, whether it's a men's button up, men's pants, men's slacks. But still, I would get those looks like, is that a woman? Is that a man? You know, there were certain traditions that was supposed to be, and just how a woman should be conducted and how a man should be conducted. So that's one aspect. But then when it comes to Black and white in the South, it was Black people, you're inferior, period.
Yeah.
We are, white people were the superior race, no matter how we looked at it. And there was a way that we had to conduct ourselves in front of them to feel accepted, to feel like we were on that level. And I went through that too, because I'm like, man, like, I gotta do this, I gotta walk this way, I gotta talk this way, I gotta do this so I could be accepted in that type of crowd. And when I got accepted in the crowd, I started to see that it wasn't that much different as far as what I was already experiencing. Like, why do I feel like I gotta change who I am to be okay with y'all? For what?
Yeah.
And I think how things has changed now in the world has made me be like, I'm not dumbing myself down. I'm not changing who I am. I'm not trying to speak a certain way so you can listen to what I got to say. Like, no, I'm going to be who I am the way that I am, because to me, that's enough. And if you don't like it, that's not my problem. I know how to be me, and that's the only thing I know how to be. And I feel like if you are you, authentically, unapologetically you, then the world will adjust. At least what's important to you will adjust. Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment that you started to feel like you were losing your power, and the world started getting down on you, and you started getting down on yourself because the world's getting down on you? Was there ever moments of like really deep insecurity and unknowing of what you're meant to do out here? And if so, how did you regain that power? Because I think there's a lot of us out there who are angry and upset and frustrated, you know, for exactly what we're talking about, the layers of the systematic oppression that we have to go through. Yet talking to you, you know, it's obviously you're like, I'm going to overcome this. You know what I mean? I'm going to overcome this. And not only that, I'm going to help others overcome this. But I know there has to have been a moment, at least in time, where like, man, I'm also questioning my power.
Yeah. You know, I think that was when I worked in corporate America. That was a time that I questioned my power, because we was always taught, get a degree, get a good job, work for a great company for years, retire, and everything's good. That's the security that you need. I think that showed me a lot that there was different treatment because I was Black. You know, there was a level of expectations. I will never forget that when one of my managers was telling me about a book that the managers was reading. And I think the book was 7 Habits of Highly Successful People or something like that. She mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, I know about that book. It's by John Maxwell, right? And she was like, yeah, like almost as if like she didn't expect me to know that. She was like, oh, I didn't know that you read. And I'm like, what? You know, like, wait, time. Did that just happen? Like, you know, so I think when you start to see the level of expectation that other counterparts have on you as an individual, you start to low-key believe that in some form of fashion. So I think I experienced it the most during working for corporate America. But even when I got out of there and became an entrepreneur, I think I experienced it with when people would want to bring me to events for me to speak at their event. It was a level that felt like, oh, I should be okay with the fact that I'm being invited in that space, as opposed to you paying me for my worth. You know, we allow you to come in here. That should be enough. You know, and it got me down. But then what shifted it for me, Kay, was I had to realize these people came and got me from what they heard me speak about. Meaning, they sought me out, which means I didn't go seek them out. They came to get me. And I think it's realizing that we be thinking like they need us or you need them, but they really need you. You know what I'm saying? So I think once I was able to see that and know that I was who I was way before I came into these places. And sometimes people see that, but they don't want to let you know that you're the one that they need. So I got to make it look like that, no, you actually need us. You need me to help you to the next level. When really I'm the one that helped them shift their whole perspective and take their whole brand or organization to the next level. And I think once I got that, it was eye-opening to me to be like, oh my God, this whole time I'm thinking I gotta be a part of something to feel accepted. Nah, it was they wanted me to be a part because they loved the ideas and stuff that I had to help them grow. So it became a self-empowerment for me to say, what I have is worthy. What I have to offer, people need and people want it. And the reason why they want it and they want to have it is because they see the impact of what I can do inside of a crowd or talking to people. So they want to have that on their team type thing. But because I'm so in the thing of I just want to be accepted at the time or coming into spaces that's not like me, I'm looking at it like it's just a great opportunity and everybody is good. And now I'm in this place and it's cool. But then when the moment that I wasn't
doing something that they wanted me to do, it shifted for me to realize like, oh, okay. You only like me to be a certain way that works for you. But you don't want to pay me what my actual worth is, even though you sought me out and I didn't seek you out. So I don't know. I think within the last few years, I've been able to be like, you know what, Nick? Again, no one is you and that's your power. And nobody can do it like you. And they know that. People know that. People know what it is that you can bring them. It's like everybody has their own intent and own motive. Really realize your own worth to say you're good enough. And what you have to offer is valuable. And make sure that you realize how much value you bring and how valuable you are. And make sure that your time is utilized. And I think being in those situations, corporate America, or being in places that's not like me, or being discriminated on because the way I dress or who I am, humbled me to see like some people are not going to like you and that is okay. Some people are not ready to accept different things because they are conditioned in their mind of what things should be like. But sometimes you got to be the first. Just like everybody else who came before you, sometimes you got to be the first to change the thought process. And honestly, those same situations that I've been in, when I think about what has happened with COVID and all those stuff, those same people, those same organizations is now understanding some things I told them then when I said, look, you got to have different people inside of your organization, period. Representation is key. You know, you have to have different things because people want to be a part of stuff. But if they don't see people in there that look like them, then they're not going to be drawn to it. You know, like attracts like, you know, so, you know, it's important. So when I realized that I was the first, when I realized that I'm the only one, yeah, it feels funny at first, but sometimes it's okay to be the first because you're creating a path, you know, and people can follow it. But you got to be mindful on how you being used in the moment because you are the first. And I think that kind of just made me, you know, realize more of my purpose and realize more of Nikki, you probably going to be that first one that has to endure discrimination because of how you dress, discrimination because of who you are, discrimination of coming into a space that don't look like you and dressing the way that you're dressing and speaking about self-healing topics. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, why not use the person who's probably been discriminated on the most, being black, being a woman, being lesbian, and dressing the way that I dress, right? So honestly, it's a full figure, full window, full circle, I would say, that comes back around to say it has to be somebody like you. So people can be changed in their mind to say, oh, wait a minute. This person is experienced this and that. And they're still able to stand in front of me to say, guess what? You are enough. And how you are the way you are is enough. You know, believe in yourself. You know, all the things that you need. So I'm not sure where I was going with all of that, but I hope that answered your question about just, you know, understanding who you are and realizing your own power inside of places that's not that accepting.
Absolutely. And what I'm hearing from you too is it seems like you have a good relationship with God, you know, and I know that that's something that our community struggles with, you know, and someone who's from the South, you know, from my understanding of maybe what is stereotypically in the South, it's a little, I'm kind of questioning it in terms of it's the South, so I guess it's more traditional or conservative as most would say, but some of that comes with Christian values or being in the church. And in the church, I'm sure they're telling you, you're special, you're one of a kind, you're this and this and this. But then you have little Nikki coming in, being themselves and doing this, but now you're not special, now you're not this, but yet you're telling me this. So I'm very confused of how you're maneuvering through this space and still finding your own.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to be super transparent. It's such a, you know, it's amazing how certain topics come about and why it needs to be said. You know, I think that I learned throughout just growing up and finding out more about me that there was a difference between being religious and being spiritual. And I think I went on that journey because I felt like who I was authentically at the core wasn't completely accepted in the religious state, right? But when I decided to go on a spiritual journey, I was able to understand that, wait a minute, it doesn't matter who you are, the way you are, whatever. Everybody has a relationship with God. There's a connection that you have. And again, going back to you can't do what you haven't been taught. I was taught religion. I was taught we go to church every Sunday, Wednesday, and Monday. Sometimes it could be another day, depending on what's going on. Right? And I'm thankful for my mom raising me in that because it still gave me a foundation. But then when I got older and I started to experience things, it made me question, like, wait a minute, how is this gonna show up in my life? So if I'm not doing all of the good things and doing everything that's the right things, and you know something bad is gonna happen to me. So I had to go on this own journey with it. So I'm saying that to say I have the connection with God in a more spiritual aspect because that is where I feel the most comfortable at. And when I was more, I would say, following the religion piece, there were still loopholes of, okay, I'm going to say this part of the Bible, but I ain't going to worry about this other part of the Bible. I'm going to point out one part of this and say, this is what it is, but I ain't going to worry about what it say in the other part, you know? So I think that was that level of, I had to find out from my own understanding. I had to go on a journey to say, you know what, God, what is it? What is it that I'm called to do? What is my purpose? What is this? Is this supposed to be part of me? Is this part of my journey? Am I not supposed to be this? And da-da-da. And then I think I came to that thing of, you can't love God and hate people. It changed my vibration. How can you say you love God, but you hate certain things of people that you don't understand? And then you experience stuff yourself and it make you think like, man, when I thought about people who were going through homelessness or poverty and all of this stuff and all of the judgments that I gather, or people who wasn't like me, all of those judgments that I gather, sometimes you have to go through those things or experience some things in that form of fashion for you to realize that you wasn't right when you judged them. For you to realize that, yeah, their journey is their journey, their walk is their walk. We're all on our own spiritual journey. So everything's going to be different, but it doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make me less than. It doesn't make you better, they're better, any of that. It's just how you connect. And I think that's what got me on that vertical relationship with God, and to know that God chose me for a reason. Everything is in divine. But there's that part of me that's like, when it comes to the religion of what I grew up in, which is non-denominational Church of Christ, I will forever have the love for that. But I choose a more spiritual connection because I felt like there were parts that were accepted and parts that was not accepted. But on the spiritual side, all of it was accepted because of the connection that I have. So I know a lot of people in our community struggle with that only because of what you've been taught, right? But once you get into that conversation of, okay, God, show me this. Okay, God, help me understand. Okay, God, what about this? And once you see that and things start to be different of what it really is about, and knowing that God is love, no matter what that is, like just no matter what that is, it changes your thought process, or at least gives you a sense of peace or relief. Even though people may not agree, you have to understand that you're not responsible for people's reactions, period. And I think that's the problem. We get so caught up in thinking like, oh my God, people are going to respond this way, when that's not your responsibility. How do you know that their reaction is not just stirring up something that's inside of them that they're not okay with, that they have a struggle with, or that they haven't dealt with, you know? So I just think it was important for me to have that vertical relationship, but more on a spiritual aspect, because I do believe that we're all spirits just having a like a human experience. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is a soul that just happened to take on a body of looking this way, but it's still my soul, right? Yeah. So I choose spiritual over religion all day, and I had to go on my own journey to find that. I had to go on my own journey to realize I might have been taught one thing, but God still loves me anyway.
Yeah.
And honestly, I got to live my life for me. Nobody can say at the end of the day, oh my God, no, I know she did this, but I want to take it on for what she did. No. I got to take accountability for that. I got to be responsible for that, not nobody else. And I think knowing that God has brought me through a lot of different situations, a lot of different pains, a lot of different emotions or environments that I've been in. And when I think about being in a state like that, after the first season of the Androgynous model, I was so into about purpose. I literally was like, you know what? I wasn't attached to material things anymore. I wasn't attached to any of it. I wanted to just get rid of it and go on this journey to be like stripped down. Nothing. Everything that was in my apartment, I gave it away for nothing. Just to say, I don't want to be I don't want to feel like I have to have certain things to feel okay. I want to be completely okay with me, with nothing attached to it. And I went on the journey of not having somewhere to stay, or staying on friends' couches and going back and forth. And so the whole first season of the Androgynous model, I was in the process of doing that. And if you watch one of the episodes in episode 5, I told them that. I said, I don't have a job. I'm not out here getting paid for this. This is part of my purpose. This is me, of the dream. This is what I am doing this for. I'm going back and forth. And I think that's when people realize like, whoa, this is something that's important to her. Yeah, because I felt like God gave me the vision, and it made me realize that I was born and destined to do this. And when I think about it, when I was in college, I pledged Delta Sigma Theta, and my sorority name was Joan of Arc, right? So a year after I finished the first season, I wanted to do more research about androgyny. And I was like, what's the first androgynous person? And guess what comes up? Joan of Arc.
Really?
Yeah. So for me to, and I'm tying this in with how the spiritual connection comes about, right? I pledged Delta in spring 2004. The androgynous model vision was given to me in 2013. I didn't understand the connection until 2015. So to me, it made me realize that everything happens for a reason. Everything has its own design, and everything's all connected. So how could that even possibly be? How could that work out if that wasn't part of my purpose? If that wasn't part of what I'm supposed to be created for? Like we talked before, a couple years ago, you probably wouldn't have been able to talk to me, vice versa. That wouldn't have been on our thing, so that's why I think it's more just the spiritual vibe of letting God use me and guide me, as opposed to trying to learn a doctorate that says it has to be this for it to be right. How do we even know what's right or wrong? Were you there when they said, hey, This is the list of the right. This is the list of the wrong. Me and you could be in the same situation, Kay, and they ask us what happened in that situation, and you get a totally different perspective than what I get. It don't make you right or wrong. It just, that's your perspective. So your relationship, my relationship may be different. Anybody else's relationship may be different, but it don't make us either or right or wrong. It's about how we decide to identify our own perspective of the relationship and how we decide to move on in this world with who we are and whose we are. And I think that it just changed my vibration of like, listen, I was created for a reason. This is part of my purpose. And I got a spiritual relationship to where it just can't be broken, because I know what it's like to not have nobody there but God. And God was able to bring me through that. So that's why it's important to me. You know, I get long-winded about certain things, Kay, but I hope that people can get that.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And I think that's something that I'm curious about throughout the androgynous model show. You know what I mean? Like when you're interacting with other androgynous folks, and helping them through them and showing that they're more than just this, you know. So I want to know, and I want folks to know, what does the androgynous model look like? What are the things that you're putting them through in the process, and why are you putting them through those things for them to become who they are? Yeah,
so to me, again, when I first started the show, it was just more of about acceptance and getting an opportunity and educating people about androgyny and showing that it's important to have diversity and inclusion and just getting people to be okay with who they are. So when I think about what I put them through, we androgynous people struggle with self-acceptance, period. Because of what society says of how we should be, how we should act, how we should dress, how we should look, all these things that's been plugged into our DNA. So I think that is the main thing that I want them to get, which is the self-acceptance. And I put them through challenges that test that. And it could be them just saying something like, you were born to stand out, you were born to be you. I am who I am. There's no one like me. Affirmations, whatever it is that is needed to get them to be more accepting, putting them in situations where they have to talk about themselves. They have to stand in their truth and not make them feel bad for it. I think it's a way to, I would say, positive reward them, positive reinforcement to say, oh my God, that was great. It's okay to be that. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to feel emotional about the fact that people talked about you because of how you dress, right? So putting them through challenges, but also coaching and talking to them and positive reinforcing what they're doing is great to help them be okay with it. Showcasing different things to say, guess what? It's only one of you. It's never going to be another one like you. Everybody else is already taken. If you don't be you, then who would be you? So just reminding them of things like that, reminding them of purpose. Then I want them to have a business savvy professional mindset. So I'm going to put them in situations where they have to be more business savvy. They have to be more professional. And it might be, hey, go and tell this person out there that about the androgynous model or about who you are. And again, it reaffirms who they are, and it puts them in situations that they have to be professional. Or standing up and talking to little kids, they have to be professional. I want you to go through this workout to teach them mentality, to teach them, it's going to be hard out here, but you can be mentally tough enough that no matter what comes at you, you're able to deal with it, So those are more internal feelings. Yeah, I teach them how to dress and how to pose and how to represent a brand and make sure that if you got on a brand's clothes that you can see their clothes. You know what I'm saying? You can see their logo, whatever you're selling, a way to convey a message as far as how to sell certain things or market a product. That's only a minute part, because I think the bigger portion when I deal with androgynous people is getting them to be okay with who they are and getting them to realize that it's okay to be them, and it's okay to become a better version of them. And sometimes becoming a better version will require you to step up a little bit, will require you to be more professional, will require you to be more on your A game, on your business game, or more confident, or more ambitious or original. And I think putting them in situations with a camera on them forces them to be like, oh my God, like, wait, I'm on camera, I'm this and that, but also coaching them through it and giving them tips. It makes them feel like, I'm glad I did that. So the androgynous model got to be a risk taker. You got to be able to take risk. You got to be able to commit, professional, original, have that ambition or creativity about your own like style, but more confident than anything. That's another thing that I think we struggle with is confidence, like believing in ourselves. So I want to give them affirmations for that. And so when I give up different challenges, it's ultimately to get them to believe more. Like, hey, I want you to do this, and then tell me why you chose to do this in that way. Just so they can be like, okay, this is why I did it. They're explaining why they do what they do. And I think that'll instill the confidence in it. But I will say, like, it hasn't been easy, because it reminds me of how broken some of us are. It allows me to see that some people are just not there yet. And it's not their fault. It's just there's no resources. There's no things to help them. So when they meet me, they can't believe that it's like somebody like me, dressed like me, think like me, experience the same thing, that is out here trying to make us, portray us in a more positive, professional, business mindset, confident individual. They can't believe it. They're like, how did you get like that? What was your resource? So I just want to be able to give that back and get people to really understand that it's okay to be you. You were born to be you, but there are levels of you that you can evolve to the point that it doesn't matter what room you come in, whether it looks like you or not, you are able to walk into that room just as confident as you are, to the point that people want to know who you are. And that starts with internal. That starts with the whole package of how it looks as well on the inside and as well on the outside. And I embody all of that on the show. And you're going to go through some type of challenge to make sure that at the end of it all, if you don't have all the confidence you need, you at least got some kind of spark to say, okay, I'm going to go out here and do something different. I'm going to go out here and become better. I'm going to go out here and start accepting myself, because I am the way that I am, and I was created for this. And I get people to see that. I'll be like, listen, I always meet people at a time where they're at a crossroad. Either you're going to keep going down this same road, or you're going to switch it up. That's part of my purpose. That's part of me to be the leader for my community, the same way Joan of Arc did. She was the leader of her community. She was the person that was like, listen, I'm out here and I got y'all. And I say the same thing. I'm out here and I got y'all. It ain't about me. I'm just creating a path for y'all to come through, because I want it to be easier for you all as opposed to it was for me. I always tell them, listen, I'm coming as one right now, but I stand as 10,000. Because there are a lot more that's like waiting. Oh my gosh, like I wish. But ultimately, I think if we are able to accept ourselves and be confident and believe in ourselves, and no matter what industry we're in, we can get in it and we can thrive. And that is what I want people to get who are a contestant on the show.
I love that. And I know that they have to go through an application process, and I know that you've been making it more specific, weeding them out. Unfortunately, but for those who are not ready to be on the show and don't feel like that they meet the requirements or the criteria, what advice would you give to folks, of course, particularly tomboys and androgynous folks, like, to just get started on their journey? What I foresee is that this next generation, they are really, there's a lot of options, and I think that can cause a lot of anxiety for them. And then I think them and the power of choice and making decisions sometimes are too scared to, and then can cause some depression. I'm thinking that's, mental health in general, something that we're going to have to be aware of for this next wave. But what advice would you give to folks on how to get started on this journey, but to not falter or waver into, what can be happening to their peers? You know what I mean? Like, how can they get started in being an androgynous model and a model not only on your show but in the community?
You know what? I just first want people to become more okay with who they are, the way they are. That's the first thing of anything that you want to get into. You got to first be okay. Meaning you got to accept the good, bad, and indifferent about who you are and why you do what you do, and unpack that. Unpack, why do you respond the way that you respond when somebody calls you out of your name or calls you and says that you're not good enough? Why do you do that? What is it? Who told you that you couldn't do it? What are you still holding on to? What do you need to let go of? What are you afraid of? And these are all questions that I want people to answer before they decide to step out into something that they've never done, before. So meaning, do some inner work, whether that's developing a relationship, with God, or going to talk to someone. It is okay to talk to someone about your thoughts, emotions, whatever, Once you do that, identify what you like to do and why you like to do it. If it is you like putting outfits together, or you like painting, or you like speaking, whatever it is, identify what it is and learn everything that you can learn about it. Learn everything that you can learn about it. And then 3, believe in yourself. I think a lot of people are not ready for the show because they lack confidence. They lack identity, or their own original identity. And I think I can see that. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just, I've learned over the years, I can only deal with people who at least have a certain amount at the time. Because if not, I'm going to be depleted. I'm going to be depleted and defeated. And I want to be there to help you, but I also know where I'm at mentally right now. And some people are just not there yet, and that's okay. So inner work, identify what it is that you like to do, and start to figure out ways to believe in yourself more, or to have confidence, and get around other people who are doing it. So if you're inspired by someone, ask them questions. Get around them. Find out how they became who they became, and learn. And then once you learn more and you've evolved and you look back on where you were, then step into what you're trying to do, or apply again, or whatever, I think it's primarily being open and willing to grow, and being open and willing to see that the way that you were doing it wasn't wrong, but there is a better way.
I love that. So final question.
Sure.
We're going to fast forward 10 years from now. Androgynous Model Show is amazing. It's on Poppin'. It's on, what's your favorite network? I don't know. What network would you want it to be on?
OWN network.
I love that. So we got Androgynous Model on the OWN network. We got Tomboy International is finally international. We got chapters around the world, around the country. Folks are meeting, doing that self-healing, being able to have access to us, doing all these amazing things. So what do you foresee the future of Tomboys and Androgynous folks, now that they have Tomboy International and the Androgynous Model as household brands of putting out amazing leaders into our communities and into our world?
You said it right there. I see that it's going to be more amazing leaders that look like us. And that is in any industry, fashion, technology, music, everything. They're coming there, but it's not enough to where I'm like, okay, we got our mark. I see a lot of different companies, brands, and organizations having representation of androgynous people. I see a lot of people adapting and understanding their own masculine and feminine characteristics of themselves, and being okay, especially men, about their feminine side, and women that need to be more okay about their masculine side. Primarily, I see young kids okay with how they want to dress, if they want to show up more masculine or more feminine. I see mentorships for that particular reason, whether it's inside of Tomboy International, and we got people that are great leaders, and we're taking on these younger tomboys. We're going away for a camp, we're going away for a conference, for a retreat, or whatever, and we have this whole group. I am getting really visual right now, Fred. We're having this whole group of people there, and this like inspiring, motivating feeling, and people are out there like, oh my God, like, I'm having a hard time accepting it. And we're like, it's okay. We've been there 10 years ago. We were sitting on a Zoom call trying to figure this out, and just it being more resources for those individuals to feel okay in whatever industry they have, and something in place to have something that takes care of their mental. And the androgynous model serves as the talent agency for these organizations that's looking for something different, that's looking for the two-spirited type people that can adapt in a masculine or feminine world, that can adapt along the middle of the lines, that can interact with other people that can't be touched. And I think that is where I see it. In about 10 years, you know, I would likely say, okay, I'm about to start the third season now. So 10 years would technically be 13th, 14th season. But how that's set up, I don't think that that's possible. So I might be around like the 7th, 8th, 9th season, hopefully. And the androgynous model is able to offer opportunities and jobs to people who are androgynous, and people are okay. And there's no dress code when it comes to working for corporations. You know, you can go out in any place. You now see androgynous models on billboards. You now see androgynous people inside of stores that's representing certain things. Not small as Target, but like Target, like Walmart, like Express, like all of these different places that you know you go in and you're looking at people on the wall, and it's like, yeah, I see a lot of people like that, but why can't I see myself in it? So I think ultimately, everywhere that you look, you're going to see somebody that look like you. That's what I see in 10 years for the androgynous model in Tomboy International. Absolutely.
Awesome, my friend. Is there anything that we needed to cover? Any last minute thoughts? Any things that you need to say and speak your piece so you can look back on this 10 years from now and be like, yo, Nikki was dope at that time and only doper now. But I just wanted to give myself a little bit of advice for the future.
Yeah, like, I think the last words I got is to really get people to understand that how you are the way you are is enough. What's for you is for you. No matter if people try to imitate or recreate, it doesn't matter. What's for you is for you. Whatever you want to do in this world, you can do it if you believe you can. Just believe that you can, and understand that it ain't gonna happen overnight. But it will happen. And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it won't happen. And more importantly, if it hasn't happened yet, it's because you're being prepared for it when it does happen. So understand that everything's always tied in. What's happening is to you is happening for you, for the preparation that you need, that when it does pop off, you are able to maintain and sustain it. And my ultimate advice to my younger self from 10 years now to now is, you right where you need to be. And what is getting ready to happen, when it does, you're going to be prepared for it, because you were actually going through the trenches and going through the experiences for a reason, so you can handle it when it pops off. And I guarantee you, when it does happen, it's going to be worthwhile, and you ain't going to never see it coming. You ain't going to never see it coming. But keep believing in yourself and knowing that no one can do it like you, and you were destined to be here because you're still here. So practice gratitude, because God always had you and still has you, and God is just lining up the right people. You included. you were lined up for this, Kay. Like, for real. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's good. Yeah.
I love that. Well, where can they find you on the internet space, interwebs, and the .coms and all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. You can check me out on my website, NikkiEason.com. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Nikki Eason. Instagram is Nikki_Eason. You can follow the Androgynous Model on Facebook and Instagram at the Andro Model TV. If you're interested in being a contestant, just go to one of those social media platforms. There's a link there for you to click to apply. If you want to book a one-on-one session with me or anything that you need from me for performances, go to my website, NikkiEason.com, book there, or go to Instagram and you can find me there. If you type in Nikki Eason on Google, I'm probably going to show up. There's two other Nikki Easons that don't look like me.
Okay.
We're two different races. One's white and then it's me. So I think two of them are white. I think I'm the only black Nikki Eason I've seen so far. But if you type me in, I'll come up some type of way.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just thinking of, folks to book you, when they're thinking of like, I need to get somebody who does this, what is it that you would like them to support you in? You know what I mean? Because I know we over here like gonna be, working for ourselves and stuff. So how can they support a Tomboy?
Yeah. So I'm, a couple things, like if having a hard time building like self-confidence. That's the main thing. Self-confidence, self-acceptance, and personal branding or image and style is something you can book me for to talk about. If it's more corporation based, more of just diversity and inclusion, authenticity in the workplace, motivation in the workplace, team building in the workplace, how to interact with people who are not like you in the workplace. I think those are the main topics that I have as far as in terms of that. But any like special inspiration, motivation, or empowerment services that people need who are struggling with believing in themselves or overcoming fear, that's a big thing, and practicing gratitude, any of that, just reach out to me and I got you.
I love that. And make sure y'all to go to the Tomboy International website. We have Nikki's, a couple of their episodes up. We have also their podcast up, Mogul Moments up. So make sure to go over there and check it out. And if you continue to create content, please send it to me so I could put it on the website. You know, I feel like exactly what you're saying, you know, this is a divine appointment and God bringing us together. And I feel like, you know, being, you know, older and wiser than I am, it's like, this is what I want us to look like in the future, you know, and being that mogul and being that boss, you know what I mean? And so there's nothing more that I want to continue to put your content out there. So continue to send it to me and put it out and speaking your truth so we can make sure to inspire this next generation of tomboys. What did I tell you? Amazing, amazing human being. I was gaining their wisdom and their knowledge just being in a chair with them, and I feel like that's been the best part of this journey, getting to know other tomboys across the country, is just knowing that they're going through their things. We're kind of going through similar things, but yet we're still finding our ways to show up on top. And that's exactly what Nikki is doing. As you all can tell, it's definitely a divine appointment for us to meet each other and to be able to share our journeys with each other and collaborate over time. Again, I have so much respect for this person, as they did set the path and trailblazed the way for Tomboy International to follow right behind Androgynous model. And now we can finally get to that point where we can collaborate and share each other's successes with each other and share our struggles with each other. And that's the whole point of all of this, y'all, is that I'm just tired of struggling out in the world and us trying to figure it out on our own. And when there's moments and times where we can find people that look like us and that are not only surviving, but thriving and being able to lean on each other when things get hard, that's what this is all about. And I know that with Nikki and I both having our experiences within other organizations at the college level, it's just something that we want to continue to allow access to for folks who may not always get that opportunity over time. So again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure to go follow Nikki. Make sure to follow their platform overall. And if you feel like you're ready to be on the Androgynous model, I would say definitely apply. But as you all know, you got to do that work prior to even getting on the show. And if you all want to be on the show, know that that's a puzzle piece to Tomboy International. It's like, if you want to get on the show, Tomboy International in the process is going to be having those hard conversations so that you can be ready to be on something like that, so you can show up in spaces and places fully and completely yourself, and also know that you have folks that have your back. So again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you want to follow us on social media, you can at Tomboy International, or you can follow my personal page at k.short. But until the next episode, you all please take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. And to just know that you are worthy and more than enough and allowed to be here just as much as anybody else. I love y'all. Be safe. I'll see you soon. What is a part of your self-care practice, out of curiosity?
I always have some type of spiritual connection. I always say thank you when I wake up. As soon as my eyes come open, I say thank you. Those are the first two words that come out my mouth. Just because I'm grateful to see another day, no matter what is going on, right? Then I'll go to my little book here, my Jesus Calling book. I'll read, kind of like the word for the day, reflect, meditate, pray, cover myself as far as having a good day, and then I go run. I go run. By the time I come back from running, or on my way walking back from running, I'm kind of thinking in my mind like what I need to do, who I need to contact or whatever. But that's a very self-care for me. And then to celebrate the small wins. Even if something as this conversation we had, or interacting with you, that's a small win for me, because I'm like, dang, I need somebody who understands and gets it and knows, you know what I mean? So celebrating the small wins and taking care of myself. To celebrate, if it is to take myself out to get something to eat, or just doing something, is how I do my self-care in some type of way. And just checking in, reading a book. I do that sometimes too. Sometimes just going back and listening to some of the videos that I've done, because what they don't know is like, I give my own self mobile moments. Y'all just so happen to look at it, but I go back sometimes and I look and I be like, whoa, I've done that many? Whoa, it's been that. So just to kind of have that moment to say, Nikki, you're good. You're doing this. You know what I'm saying? Right. So part of my self-care all day is the positive self-talk and reflecting back on where I used to be and knowing that I'm not there anymore, but seeing how far I've come. So that conversation for me is part of my self-talk.
I love that. Well,
yeah.
I hope that whatever you sit and revel in these moments, I'm so happy to have had a chance to connect with you again and just to know you. Like, I promise you're someone that I feel like I've been looking for a very long time in my life. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yay.
I just want to say I appreciate you for just existing and doing what you do, and it's just inspiring just being able to be in contact with you.
Wow. Likewise. Please know you're just as dope, and I'm just as a reflection of you. And I think we matched up and lined up at this time because we were able to accept it. We were ready for it, So I'm honored that you reached out. I'm honored that I could be that person that connects with you to fill in those gaps of what you're having, in your head. And that lets me know that everything works out the way that it's supposed to. And I'm excited to see what God has in store for you. I think that is the most that I'm like, man, what? You already like this now? Okay, yeah.
You be playing sometimes, man. I'm like, but the whole 7-year thing is what I think is really trippy. You know what I mean? Like, just the past 7 years too. Like, I've just been trying, like I said, stay patient with myself. Like, I've just been a barista. I've tried a lot of different things, used to get into radio and all that stuff. But like I said, I wasn't messing with it. I was like, nah. I have to create my own because what I'm looking for is not out there. And I was like, damn, 7 years, like, that's a second grader, yo. Like, can we speed it up just a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, we only got, like, 75 years on this earth, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm lucky. So, it's like, how, I guess, like, I think what I'm most worried about sometimes is, like, will will I be able to see the fruits of that labor? Or do I find myself, like, that trailblazing, getting it started and being able to mentor and have someone to pass that on to. You know what I mean? Like, how many times there's folks where, like, you doing something new or different or whatever, and sometimes you may not be able to see that, Like, they say Walt Disney. I read it in that book I sent you. He said it was sad that Walt Disney didn't get to see all that he created, but he's all like, he saw it. That's why it's here. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, because I think once you accept that it's really not about you, it's about how you can be used in the moment. So for instance, you might be talking to me now about everything that I want to do, but by the time it hits, I might not even be here. Right. But I serve my purpose to make sure it happens. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with Walt Disney. I think that's another thing that we all got to get. It's not about you. It's not about what God can do for you. It's about what God can do through you. And once you get that and become open to the vessel of it, it's no longer when it's going to play out, how it's going to play out. You are so caught up in the why and just the fact that you can be used to do it, that it'll play out the way it's supposed to, Yeah. So, and I think somebody told me that. They said, Nikki, you could be putting all this work in, and then when it finally hits, you might not even be here to reap it. Are you okay with that? And it changed my vibration to be like, God, I would really want to see it. But then it's like, but it did what it was supposed to do. Yeah. So I did my part of what I was supposed to play in. So, yeah, I totally get that Walt Disney story. And it makes you think, like, dang, look at Walt Disney now, and they don't even get to see it. But how do you know they're really not seeing it?
Right.
You know?
I do think also we were talking about, just the times and times are changing. I think it's so interesting that we're human today. You know what I mean? Like, we go 100 years ago, this just would not be happening. It wouldn't be happening. This Zoom call wouldn't be happening. The fact that you across the country, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy to me that it's like, at this time, our spirit decided to come through and live through the human experience at this point in time.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, damn, what you got planned up there? You know,
Right. We just supposed to go. Let it unfold.
Gosh, it just blows my mind sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's like my little human brain can't handle all this, but I'm just gonna keep moving forward. You know.
That's it. That's all you're supposed to do. You keep doing your part, and that's it. You know.
Well, you keep doing all you're doing on the East Coast. I'll do everything I can on the West Coast, and hopefully we can meet in the middle in Texas and meet up with Shay or something like that over there, right?
Yeah, that'll be dope.
I'm gonna let him know. Awesome,
for
my
sure,
friend.
For sure.
Well, you have a good rest of your day. Revel in this, and again, I really appreciate you for taking the time to do this.
Oh, you're so welcome. Wishing you the same. Sending light and love your way, homie. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye.